All right, this is Anthony with Trader's Ultimate Edge. Let's talk about the algo. This is the TUE Algo, and for those of you that are momentum and trend traders, you're really going to like this thing. It finds a trend, and then it uses momentum inside of it to open and close trades. You're really going to enjoy this. So what you see here is the entries and exits. You'll see short entry, close short, short entry. Oops, we got stopped out, so we'll close here. And then long entry, and it's a beautiful long, right? So here today so far, we have 3 trades. One of them was a stop out, 2 nice big profits. And that's what we want, because remember, we're not going to be successful on every trade, but we just want to make money overall. So that's what we got here. The LP is, the difference between the LP and then sometimes you'll see HP. Here's one right here. And this is overnights. Overnights don't work that well because the algo also relies on volume found using my CVD indicator, which I'll show in a different video. So what you have to keep in mind is that this is really only for use during the day, and it's only for use on tickers that have volume. So this, for example, is ES Futures. We have volume down here. Okay. So what it does is it just gives you the LP or HP entry. That stands for low probability or high probability. And the only difference is how much room it has to run, essentially. So if it enters at a low probability, that means we've already moved quite a bit using the mathematics that I use in the background. So it's got a lower probability. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. As you can see, we still get good trades off of these. It's just the probability is probably a little bit lower. That's the difference in those. Look at the settings here real quick. Volume speed and indicator speed. You can use both of those to adjust for the day. So if you have a day with a lot of consolidation like today, you can slow down that indicator by lengthening it. You can see I always include tooltips here. And volume speed as well. So that's how quickly you want it to respond to volume. Same thing as the indicator speed, the volume speed. If you have the CVD indicator, this does correspond to a line on the CVD indicator, which I will show in that video as well. So there's a few filters for use here. The long-term trend. So we can use this, and right here you can see this long actually disappeared, because the longer term trend here today is that we're bearish. Now at the moment we're just climbing out of nowhere here. We're actually about an hour and a half prior to an FOMC meeting, so the market will do some crazy stuff. But for the most part, when you use this filter, what it's going to do is only give you trades that go along with the longer term trend for the day. So if you're that kind of trader that likes one trade a day, this is a great way to filter out a lot of those incorrect trades. All right, the other one is filter for the movement bands. Let's talk about the movement bands first, and you can turn them on or off down here. These bands are somewhat similar to Bollinger Bands. So we have the size of the bands down here, default 2, and that does indeed correspond with 2 standard deviations. Movement band length, I use a length of 50. You'll recall the Bollinger Bands use a length of 20 by default. But, and here's the difference, these bands use my predictive mathematics. They do not use lagging mathematics like the Bollinger Bands have. So sometimes you'll just get your bands way far away from you, which tells you that you have a lot of room to move. Other times, let's go back. You get like this, see how the bands are compressed, and it can help you find areas of support and resistance where it's going to bounce back and forth. It can also tell you the stock, or in this case futures, is compressing, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult to possibly trade in. Trends are going to be harder, that kind of thing. So it can tell you a lot of stuff. Movement bands are quite useful. And we'll go back here. And then let's look here. Trailing stop ribbon. So this will pop up right there. So this gives us essentially a trailing stop. If you once you're deep into profit, and this is how I use it, right? Once I'm nicely deep into profit, I'll use this to help me find a decent area to trailing stop. So for example, right here, you would have stopped out pretty much immediately, but of course we want to size our trades appropriately. So you can withstand a little bit of negative before you go profitable. And then down here, once perhaps say you're below the Globex low and you're short and you're nicely in profit, now you can start looking to this area as a trailing stop. And this should give you a wide enough berth that if it hits it, it's probably going to change directions. Right here it didn't, and you can actually change the length if you prefer. You can change it right here, trailing stop ribbon length, but typically it works pretty good. Over here is an example. See how we're just trending bearish all the way through here, hits it, crosses the other side, and we've gone the other way. So this works maybe 8 out of 10 times. The trailing stop works really, really well to help us change that. And actually, you can see here, this went green. The trend was changing, and it did stop out. And we actually got our close just before it, but it did stop out. And so yeah, you can kind of see how these things work in harmony. Go back to settings, and you can actually use the trailing stop ribbon in the close calculation. So if you click it, actually it did. Okay. Sometimes you can get weird stuff like this, right? So it changes to your close right here because you technically hit that trailing stop, right? And then it actually re-entered down here. So you can see there how that changes. Okay. And you can turn that on or off if you like it or not. Some people don't like it. So some people don't like the ribbon at all, and they just turn it off. Down here is the text color and box color. For all of these, you can change them to be whatever you'd like. It's right there. And of course, there's some more settings over here under style where you can change the colors and transparencies for pretty much everything. So that's just a little bit about the TUE Algo. It can help those of you that are momentum traders. You see a trend change, you see the momentum kick up, see the volume come up, and you like to get in there and get that trade. That is what this thing is designed for. It's designed for those sort of momentum trades. All right, thank you very much.